What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. I'm going to be sharing with you my eyeshadow palette collection. It used to be very modest, and it has recently, like within the last year or two, it has gotten a bit out of control, at least for me. I thought it would be fun to share with you what my collection looks like. Keep in mind, this is just my palette collection. It is not my singles collection either. So there's a few of them that are sort of entangled in the middle where I bought the palette, have the palette, but it has been sort of taken apart and I use it as singles. So I've included those palettes in this video and I'll show you kind of what I have going on in them, just because for the most part I do own those palettes. They're just not really intact. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have them here in a nice big stack. I'm just gonna start at smallest and go all the way to biggest. So scoot you guys in a bit and let's go ahead and get started with the very first one. And the smallest one in my collection is this quad from Juvias Place. And it's just this really pretty greens. I love these so much, and these tones are so, like, this one is so smoky and fun. It's like a charcoal meets green. It's really cool. And then there's kind of a matte that's like along with it. I love this palette. I just think it's so unique and really cool for my collection. So I also love that it's all green and the artwork on it is so pretty too. So if like packaging has beautiful artwork, that's always a plus to me and my enjoyment. The next one in my collection is a 9 pan from Colourpop. I used to have a lot of 9 pans, but I've kind of picked them apart and gotten rid of the redundant shades. I do plan on doing a singles collection in the future and you'll be able to see what I kept. But for now, this is one that I didn't really pick apart too much, but I did kind of add in from the Lilac You A Latte palette and the Meant to Be palette. I just wanted to give this Baroque palette, you know, some variety so that I use it, but I really love the shades in here. I love the cool tone. I don't have like a lot of blue based cool tones, so I just think this is a really pretty palette and I do really enjoy it. The colors that I've taken out are in my singles collection and I do reach for those quite a bit. This next one is pretty new to my collection. I did a video a few videos back just playing around with it. I love the color story and I love the greens in here. These are pretty similar, but I still get a lot of use out of this and really enjoy it. And these kind of mossy mattes that are still very bright are so cool and beautiful. And I like the larger pans. I've been really enjoying larger pan sizes just as an experience. I love the Give Me Glow ones. And these ones are a little bit sized up. I think they're a traditional 26mm pan, and a lot of Colourpops, like 12 pans and stuff, I think are like 15mm. So I like that they kind of up the size. It's just really fun for these 9 pans. And they always have really cool like sleek packaging and stuff too. So really enjoying this one. If you want to go check out that video, I will try and leave a card in this video so you can go click that and check it out if you want to see me do a look with this palette. Next is probably one of my favorite green palettes. I just really enjoy this and I love the BH formula, so I hope when BH makes a comeback and starts releasing more palettes, they still have this beautiful formula because it is so good. I've duped this palette and it's one of the few palettes that I actually like duped the vibes of with my singles and then still bought the palette because I was just enjoying it so much. I knew that the tones that I was like duping were just slightly off and I just knew that I would get a lot of use out of this palette. I love green tones with like red brown tones. The contrast is just really fun and beautiful, I think, and it kind of gives you like a fun grungy effect. And this just has a nice variety of like some muted greens, some bright greens, teal greens, shimmery teals, you know, matte kind of blue teals, then rose golds. I love rose gold, so this is beautiful too. I love the variety. The color that I really don't use that much is just like the soft yellow. I don't know, when I'm doing a yellow look, I reach for other yellows and I'm usually doing something a bit brighter. So this is well loved and well used, and if you can get your hands on it and like green, I highly recommend. Like this formula is so pretty and this array of colors is really nice. This next one is so beautiful. I couldn't resist. It says Alien Cosmetics. The company is now Unearthly Cosmetics, so I just picked this up kind of when they were in the middle of the name change and got one of the older labeled palettes, which I believe they still have this on their website. These are very vibrant, very soft, very buttery, like such a good formula, especially for pinks, reds, and greens. A lot of fun. So, and I love this like lilac-y color here. This red is just divine. It's like so good. Oh, so good. And then it's always really hard to find like a pink, vibrant, like Barbie pink shimmer that doesn't come off as a satin. I have a couple in my collection and they kind of just tend to come off as a satin. So, so pretty. And then these matte greens are just so good. Again, love the little artwork, the cute little thing on here. So nice. I love it. Another pink palette I really enjoy. This is the newest palette in my collection. It's from Beauty Bay. I had never tried anything from them before and I was curious about this for quite a while. In fact, it's what I used on my eyes, and that video will be coming up or already up on my channel. So really, really pretty monochromatic palette with just some warm colors, some cooler colors, and all berry. I love berries and pinks on the eyes. I think it's just so fun. And this one has a nice array of colors, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I love this down here, this like smoky plum color. It's really unique to my collection. Kind of like the Unearthly Cosmetics. I love this like strawberry red. So, so pretty. This has really nice shimmers. This one's a little bit more on the sheer side. It's really, really pretty. It has a nice like bluish flip to it. Really, really cool. So cool arrangement of colors in here, but I love monochromatic looks, so for me, like, this is perfect. I really like this as an addition to my collection, and I only got it for $6. Like, I cannot believe it. And again, not the type of person that's like, it's good for the price. For me, it needs to be good. The price is a bonus, and this definitely is in that category. The next few palettes are 12 pan palettes from Colourpop. I'm gonna start with the ones that I bought and then kind of picked apart, and now they're like empty magnetic palettes, but I just basically move them around. This one is the Wild Nothing palette, and I originally bought it just for the packaging. I had all intentions of making it into a magnetic palette, and I actually wound up loving the colors inside of it so much. I had a couple of super shocks, and I had like really peachy muted tones and a couple of muted greens, and I was just really shocked at how much I enjoyed the color story in that. So I still have almost all of those shades. A lot of them are mixed in with empty magnetic palettes. And here I basically took my Dream Street palette and updated kind of the colors and the color story a bit. So a lot of these are from the Dream Street and have others in there, and then my Wild Nothing ones are floating around in other palettes. So, but since I do have, you know, a majority of these shades still in my collection, I did want to show it to you in my eyeshadow palette collection. I did get rid of my Dream Street packaging, but still have all the shades, I think, except for one of the rose golds in there because they were just so similar, the two of them. So this is basically like a Dream Street palette update, and my Wild Nothing palette is all picked apart and floating around with my singles in a variety of different BYOP situations. So yeah. Again, I really struggled with how to, I've been wanting to do an eyeshadow video, and I've just really struggled with what do I do with the palettes in this situation that are like singles but not, but I own the palette but not. So this is just how I decided to do it. Another one that is well loved, still have all the shades, but this particular packaging just doesn't have the shades in there. There's just some random reds and pinks in there that I've built out. But the original colors in the She palette, like, this is probably one of my favorite Colourpop 12 pan palettes. It had the prettiest like rosy shades, and all of my favorite like rose golds, according to me, like where they're actually more pink leaning than orange leaning, came from this palette. So I do have a video that's called Swatching All My Rose Golds, and a majority of them came from the She palette. If you want to see some swatches of what I'm talking about, go check out that video. But this is just like such pretty packaging, and I loved the color story, and just thought it was so beautiful, and most of those shades, if not all of them, are floating around in my single eyeshadow collection. I think last one that kind of fits this weird little hybrid category is the Sweet Talk palette, and this was one of my favorite palettes for the longest time. When I was really into corals when this first came out, I was just enamored with the packaging. I love that like graphic look that it has to it, like cut out paper and watercolor situation. This packaging is so adorable, and it's so beat up, especially because I had a really easy time turning my other ones into magnetic palettes, just like cutting out the middle. This one, not so much, and I think it's because of the holographic inside. There was just a lot more glue, so it's kind of unfortunate that I thought that this was going to be like a really pretty magnetic palette, and because of all the glue, the insides are really like messed up looking, but I still love using it. And I just have all my peaches and yellows in here. So this is one where I got rid of a lot of redundant shades. I'm not wearing a lot of like peach and coral and orange these days. I don't have the entire collection that came in here. I did like get rid of a lot of the redundant shades. The ones that I have left is probably like this one. I believe this is, oh, not labeled. I think I have like Melody. Oh, shoot. So I do have a few of the shades that came in this palette, but for the most part I've mixed in other oranges and some yellows that I have in here. So this is basically my orange eyeshadow collection. I don't really wear that color a lot these days, but the colors that I have kept are kind of in here. So another one of those weird hybrid ones. But that one I actually did get rid of some of the colors. Getting into some 12 pans that I have not taken apart, and this is the Cabana Club palette. And this is one that's probably one of my newer Colourpop palettes, with the exception of the Limelight one. And I really wanted it for this navy blue. I was on the hunt for a really good like deep navy blue shade, and here it is. I love this color. I pretty much only use this color out of here. Sometimes I use the blue. I did an Instagram reel using this palette with the blue and some of these warmer browns, and this is a nice palette to have because it's pretty well rounded with some bright shades. I always love like a neutrally pinky color, like a mauve color. This is a pretty good neutral brown. It does come off pretty warm on the eyes. This one is like a terracotta. I've got this in a million other palettes, so it's kind of like, it's nice to have on hand. And then these golds, I don't really have a lot of golds, and these are more on like the yellow side, so they are pretty, but I've considered actually passing this along to a cousin or somebody in the family, and then just taking out this blue and trading it for something else for them. So that is something I might do in the future, but I'm always on the fence with this, where I do really enjoy it. Like, I don't have a lot of blues in my collection, and this is a really good blue, so, and I can never have enough like neutral. And I love the packaging. I think it's really, really pretty, but I don't want to pick apart any more palettes. I do kind of want to keep them as they are. I'm trying to. This is another one. I love the graphic packaging. It's so cool, and it's kind of monochromatic. It's like a rosy pinky palette. I used this in my Get Ready With Me a few videos back, where I did like a strawberry monochromatic look. And I use this palette, and I love reaching for this one. It's really, really pretty. Definitely a favorite. It's got a nice variety of like these true reds that aren't like too orangey, and then it's got these really soft pinks which were really light in the pan, but they actually are kind of like a soft pink on the eyes. They actually do show up. And then you've got like this beautiful shimmery glittery color, and then an actual glitter. So I love the variety in this. It goes from really light to really dark. These reds are really neutral and nice, and I just really enjoy this palette, as well as the packaging. This is something that I actually keep on my countertop just for display, and the box that it came in, I actually like cut out and put a little frame, and I think I have like the Kylie lips over it too, so I like made my own little artwork for my vanity using this because it's just really fun. I love it. So really good one in my collection. I enjoy it and get a lot of use out of that. Here's another one I've talked about recently on my channel. I call this my Grunge Rainbow palette. I think it's so beautiful, and I love the mattes in it. This is the Makeup by Tammi Chasing Butterflies pressed pigment palette, and it's so cool. It just has a really nice variety of tones and shades. It's a little bit more like random than what my other palettes are. I think almost every palette I've showed you so far, it's like monochromatic or leaning monochromatic. So this one is what I consider my rainbow palette to my collection. Most cases rainbow palettes just really don't interest me. I do enjoy bright colors, but I tend to be on like the muted side when it comes to color. This is a great companion palette. I love pulling it out and combining it with like neutrals or more muted tones, and I love this green. It's so bright. I love this green so much. It's like so bright, so vibrant, really, really pretty. This yellow performs phenomenally. All the mattes in here perform phenomenally. I have a video and I do a look with this, but spoiler alert, I love the mattes and I'm kind of meh about the shimmers. Like, they're okay, they're nice, but I usually reach for something else in my collection. This was also given to me by a good friend on Instagram and another YouTuber, and so it holds a special place in my heart as well because she sent this to me as a gift and it was just so, so sweet of her. And so yeah, I love this for its performance and its color story, but it's also very sentimental to me. Shout out to Miss Charlie, Cnutbtrbeauty, and I will link her channel in the description box if you want to go check her out. She does some really fun looks and videos and swatches as well. Okay, creeping into a little bit bigger palettes. This is one that I always feel kind of funny talking about because I know it got a lot of flack and gotten like a little bit of backlash and controversy when they released it. I won't go too much into that, so I'll leave it at that. Let's just talk about the eyeshadows. Love this color story. It's very, very warm and almost leaning orange, and I don't care for oranges, but this is like a comfortable orange for me. It's very like dusty and terracotta and kind of grungy. And I love like these coppery shades in here. Like there's like a golden copper and then like a true brown copper and then this like kind of grungy orange shade. So, so pretty. So I love playing with this one. And then of course it had the two greens. Like this yellowy green and then this like golden olive green, which I also did a look using this golden olive green. It's very unique. I really enjoy the tones and colors in these. The shimmers are so, so great and the mattes are really buttery and smooth. I also really like this layout with like the square pans and the long slender and again the cardboard packaging. The next two are from Moira Cosmetics, and I did do a video on these, reviewing them and testing them and playing around with them, and I really enjoy them a lot. I have this first one is called My Sweetest Thing. It's got some really beautiful pinks and this red in it. So, and then of course these like yellow and mustard tones, so really fun variety of colors. The shades are really nice. You get like this flaky shimmer and then you get kind of these more soft traditional shimmers, and I definitely would say that this is more like a soft glam type palette. The colors are very, very pigmented. It is somewhat monochromatic, and the shimmers, you kind of have to build them up a little bit. They can kind of start like a topper, but you really can make them very punchy. So it's got a lot of versatility to it, and it's a really, really pretty formula. So happy I picked this up, and I believe you can still get a hold of this one. Next one was in the same series. It was called the Smoothie series, but this one is You A Latte, and it's coffee themed. And this one has a lot of kind of cool browns and some greens that I thought were really, really interesting. I love the shade Pick Me Up. It's like another one of those like golden yet still leaning green shades. It has a really pretty kind of neutrally sparkly gold, which is really nice. So you can create a variety of looks. They're definitely more on the neutral, subtle side, but you do get these fun pops of color. This teal is amazing. It's so, so pretty. So I did play around with these in a video, and I did a look with each one, and I would like to film another look with these because I just think they're a lot of fun, really great quality, and I think this one is sold out on the website. It has not been removed from the website, so I don't know if they're going to eventually restock it or if it's just kind of hanging out on the site. Love Moira Cosmetics. I talk about them a lot on my channel, and for the most case, everything is a win. These palettes are a win. I enjoy them a lot, and I love like the neutrals mixed with some pops of color. And if you've been hanging out on my channel, you know I love red and green and any variation of red and green, such as pink or berry or olive. So yeah, those were a great addition to my collection and I enjoy reaching for those. Okay, this one is from an indie brand and I reviewed it on my channel. I did a couple of looks with it and I've played around with it since then and I am enjoying it. I think it is a bit pricey. I think it was like $59 or $49. It's an indie brand, Bella Beauty Bar. And I love the color story. I don't typically love purple. Like purple, blue, and orange are like my least worn colorful eyeshadows, but there was something about this palette that just really drew me in. And I know for a majority of it, it was like the textures of these shimmers. These ones are so sparkly and so soft. This one feels like a super shock. And then these ones here are like super like flaky. They're like those flaky when you pick them up and then they like melt into your eye or into your finger. So I enjoy that formula. There's just something about it. It's like a whole experience with the texture, and the textures in these are just amazing. If you watched my video, you already know this, but kind of my gripe besides the price was some of these shades are a little redundant, like this one here and this one here, and they just look almost identical. And then this one wasn't deep enough. Like if it actually looked how it looked in the pan, it would be really, really nice, but it actually on the eye looks a lot more like this bright berry. So unfortunately that lended this one to be like the only deep shade in the palette. And I feel like with the variety and, you know, the pastels that you have going on in the rest of the palette, definitely needed something a little deeper to kind of ground my look. So I have no problem with pulling out companion palettes. In fact, I really enjoy using multiple palettes at a time. I kind of found that this shade here, which is like a cool purple, almost charcoal leaning shade, just kind of wasn't enough to ground my looks. But other than that, it's really, really nice. It's pretty. These are very light pastel shades. You don't get a lot of punchiness from them. And then this one here is so amazing. It's like a copper to purple. And it mostly looks purple on camera. It's even purple to red. But like when you hit the light or lower light conditions, it turns like this orangey copper. It's really, really cool. And then the other one I always reach for, like I have to stop myself when I use this palette just to try the other shades, is a shade called Rivalry. And it's one of those like flaky ones. And it's really, really cool. It's like a duochrome that's like kind of golden, kind of purple, kind of copper, but then it leans like taupey. It's really, really cool. So I really love the variety of kind of tones in here as far as like playing with purples. And I love the texture. So this one was a really fun one. If you have it in your budget and wanted to try out Bella Beauty Bar, this one I would recommend. I got it with like a gift card, so it didn't hurt my budget too badly, but I do think it is pretty pricey. In fact, I think this is my most expensive palette. I usually don't pay more than like $30 for a palette. This is a really fun one from an indie brand and I do enjoy trying out and supporting indie brands. Final two left. This next one I've done a recent video on as well, and oh, this man, it's so heavy and so weighted and so luxurious. I love this one. I guess technically without being on sale, this is my most expensive palette. This was a $70 palette, however I paid $28 for it, so that was awesome. This is a pressed pigment palette and it is so colorful. This is another one that's like kind of rainbowy for me, because you know you've got some of this like yellow gold and some of these corals, you've got reds, but surprisingly with this one it's actually a very like cool toned palette. These greens are more like teals and these reds mixed on the eyes come off as a bit more plum. So I haven't played much with the orangey and corals, and as much as I said I don't really reach for those colors that much, this palette makes me want to. These are so pretty, like this orange, and it's so smooth, it's almost like wet to the touch. So pretty. I love this orange. And then this is like a go-to neutral shade for me. This kind of reddish color. Rosy metallic. So, so pretty. And I love this yellow here too. These are so soft and buttery. They are like super pigmented. This is not like a buildable colored palette, so definitely get color payoff right away. So I struggle a little bit with some of these palettes that are just like so pigmented, but as soon as I get a little more practice, this one, I know that I'm going to be reaching for it even more than I already do. Like, it's so beautiful, and it's another one of those where I want to keep it on my counter because of the artwork. It's so, so pretty. Okay, final palette, it's probably my most loved palette. It is like definitely a favorite just because it has a little bit of everything. It's from BH Cosmetics. This is the Naughty palette. It's from not last holiday, but the holiday before that. I didn't really care for last holiday's release, and the color story was like okay, but kind of meh. Whereas this, I think the color story is just so phenomenal. Like, it's just so pretty. Like, it literally has everything. If I could only use one palette or have one palette, it'd probably be this one. I love these deep shades. These kind of grungy plum and this grungy green. So, so pretty. And then it has a lot of textures in it as well. It's got some of these glitters, which I know everyone's not so fond of, but these are like very finely milled glitters. And it's got a lot of different colors that I wear, like warm browns, these greens, these berry shades, red shades. It's even got like this minty green, which is really cool. It's like a very light kind of minty pistachio green. So, so pretty. And then it's even got some fun purples to play with when I'm feeling like I want to go outside my comfort zone. And this one is like one of those shifty, like pink to blue to purple kind of colors. So cool. So my biggest palette and one of my favorite palettes, even though it's discontinued. I really, really love this. So that's it, you guys. That's my eyeshadow palette collection. I think I have 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 18 palettes in total. It's gotten a little crazy. I hope you enjoyed today's video and taking a peek at my eyeshadow collection and some of my favorite shades in each one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video.